sometimes get asked, my previous existence before being in rugby was the All England club at Wimbledon. And people would say to me, well, what's the difference? Is it different? One element of difference was you could wonderfully sit at Wimbledon and say, it's all about the event, I don't care who wins the tournament, and indeed you had to be highly neutral. This at least gave you one area of relaxation. After the last 3 Six Nations games, my responsibility for the England team is slightly less relaxing. My knowledge of when is a ruck has increased significantly. And so you add, I think, a twin track area of that. I need to take the tablets now, whether you're trying to watch the team. And undoubtedly, the second, and I don't mean second in order, but the other priority I often think about is safety at the grounds. There is no question that this has to be your ultimate priority and responsibility, and I agree very much with what Derek has said. You can also say it's part of a customer environment. We're all interested about, do the fans have a good day out? Where does it start? Where does it finish? But ultimately, safety is the key priority for all of those things. And I would echo as well that you then need the key people in the right place, and I say that because some of our team are here in the event today, so therefore you have to get the right people who know what they're doing, and there is no shortage of expertise to help you out. But that accountability and certainty which needs to permeate throughout the organisation, I think is an absolutely crucial one. I think as well, you can't do it on your own. All those areas of desktop exercises, training, collaboration, and again, I think it was a hugely helpful thing for all of us at Twickenham, honoured to have the World Cup in 2015, but it also brought about different ways of doing things, different thought processes, making sure that everybody's development was broader. I remember sitting listening to the first time that the World Cup team wanted to close the A316 to traffic as a sort of safety area, and we all thought that's going to be ludicrous, but it worked extremely well. It was a very innovative thing to do, and again, I think part and parcel of everybody's need here is to be restless about how do you make yourself better, what can you do about that, and again, if somebody comes in and says, well, we're going to run an event either at your ground or as a series of events like we had at the Rugby World Cup, that is a hugely heartening and developing experience to open your minds. I think, again, when you've got the same sort of, whether it's a ground or a stadium, if you're doing events time after time, inevitably, however good your practice is, you can get complacent. You can say, well, I know how to do this. You know, we've done more rugby matches at Twickenham than you can shake a stick. Therefore, we know what we're doing. I know our team doesn't think that way. And what's certainly going to be very helpful for us in 2017 is bringing those people in who challenge you. So we have a U2 concert. That brings entirely different sets of circumstances. It's very different to a Six Nations rugby game. How do you deal with people on the pitch? How do you deal with different standards, different audiences? And again, I think is very helpful. We had our first NFL game at Twickenham, and again, I know with feeling they've done all their previous games at Wembley. So when the NFL descend, as they do, with their views of how they want to run their event, onto your stadium team, this again is a hugely good learning experience because they want to do it differently. They have the same priorities, we all want a safe environment, but how do you deal with it? How do you meld it into the fan experience, I think is hugely important as well, because you want to be safe but not be intrusive. You want everybody to feel, as I say, they're having a good time, but you need to remind them of the priorities. So I think a combination of broadening horizons, and again, which is why this sort of event I think is so helpful, so that you can learn and understand what other people do, but then even more so, if you have different people bringing events to your stadium with the same requirement, I think that's enormously important. I think investment to me is one of the other key areas. Investment in time and priority and education, and again, it's a given. If you've got stewards who are your first port of contact, then you need to make sure that they're trained, they're educated, they know what they're doing. I think all of us now as well, investment in the technology. And again, helpful for us around the World Cup, whether it was CCTV cameras, whether it was the control room, there should be no excuse for not investing in the necessary technology in this day and age to be able to deal with all these elements of safety. If you can then see where there's a crush, see where there's a potential problem, going back to the examples that Rob were talking about, that technological investment is enormously important and it should be a no-brainer in terms of those of us who are in terms of leadership. Finishing off, if I may, in terms of leadership itself, I think, interesting enough, it's a very common thread nowadays. I will go back to the conversations that I have with Mr. Jones about the England team. Leadership in sporting context is enormously important. On the pitch, off the pitch. Leadership in management has to be enormously important as well. And again, it doesn't work by simply somebody saying, here's how I think we should do it. You've got to encourage a challenging relationship. We've had quite a lot of sessions with the RFU executive team about what's wonderfully called robust dialogue. I found robust, it's all right, robust dialogue's fine until somebody's giving it in your direction, is my problem. So, but it's an absolutely valid point. And I hope, think and believe as part of that culture, and particularly in this area, the team that are involved primarily in this need to be able to say to you, this is what I really think. By the way, brackets, I probably know a lot more about this than you do anyway, and therefore listen to what I'm doing. So that challenge, that robust dialogue, part of the culture of how do we improve things, I think is enormously important. So that's my views initially, and I hope you have a very good day. Thank you very much.